On this edition of NFL Daily, we are breaking down Dane Brugler's latest NFL Draft Big Board. Now, I will make note, Dane did a top 100 over at The Athletic. You should go check it out. He's got good blurbs, and I think Dane is the best NFL draft insider expert that there is these days. We will just break down the top 50, so this isn't an hour-long video. Now, do you want more 2025 NFL draft vids? I do. I want to keep doing them. If you are among that group, hit that sub button for me right now. We'll group some of these players together. No real surprise at the top. Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter. Of note, the positions are as listed by Dane. He had Hunter at corner. I think that's his best spot, but he can definitely play both ways and is a very unique prospect. Abdul Carter's an awesome edge. I don't think this surprises many people. Jalon Walker is number 3 here, the edge rusher out of Georgia. This was the big surprise to me. I like Walker. I have concerns about some tweener traits. I am very curious what his final end result, like testing and length, is. I think edge is his best spot. In general, this is going to be a very divisive, controversial draft class. Maybe nothing is more indicative of that, of like Walker being 3 on Dane's big board, and he's like in the 40s or 50s on PFF. Massive difference there. You never see that very often. 3's high for me, but 40 is way too low. Number 4, Mason Graham. Number 5, Ashton Jeanty. I think on a lot of the consensus quote-unquote boards, you'll see these guys around there. Mason Graham for me is number 3. Jeanty, at least for now, is number 4. Will Campbell, number 6. T-Mac, Tetairoa, McMillan, number 7. Again, this isn't overly surprising. I wonder if Campbell is like better at guard or center with some arm length concerns, but he's a very high IQ football player. McMillan is built kind of like Drake London, T. Higgins, and moves a lot better than most guys that size do. I am a big fan of Armand Membou. He was not on my list like going into this year, but I kept watching him at Missouri, and I keep going, I don't have like downsides here. Like, he gets beat a little bit on the inside. I don't know if he's going to be an elite power blocker. He's short. Like, that's like, you don't find many 6'4" tackles, but he has 34-inch arms. I have a first-round grade on him as well. Shemar Stewart. He's a freak athlete. He's 6'5", 281. He explodes off the ball. He moves crazy well. He had 1.5 sacks in his 3 seasons each year. How? That combination doesn't make any sense to me. So this is kind of like Trayvon Walker to an extent. I remember him out of Georgia, number 1 pick a few years ago. Not number 1 pick worthy, but I think he goes top half of round 1 or around that spot. I'm a big fan of Tyler Warren, Penn State tight end, 6'6", 255, and he is incredibly athletic. He made the Penn State offense go pretty frequently. I am a massive fan of his game. Easy round 1 grade for me. He'll be in the top 10 for me too. How many rounds of the NFL draft do you normally watch? 1 to 7 are your answers there. Let me know in the comments of today's show. Number 11, Colston Loveland. How about that? 2 tight ends, top 11. It's a very good tight end class. I like Mike Green a lot too, the edge rusher out of Marshall. Again, was not really on my list going into the year, but his dominance was not something you could really overlook. Will Johnson. There are some teams that have some speed concerns, but I watched him be really good at Michigan. He was a bit up and down this year. Injuries are a red flag too, but I think that's got number 1 corner ability. Malaki Starks also wasn't as good this past year. And I think at times isn't an elite like man-to-man guy. I think he's a better just free safety. Let him use his football IQ, his range. But he's still shown all the stuff you want out of like a normal first-round pick at safety. The first quarterback is on the board now. Cam Ward, number 15, out of Miami. It's funny, he played like in a wing tee offense in high school. You know that? It was like not, and now he's just a gunslinger. It's like he didn't get to throw the ball ever, and now it's like all he wants to do. It's kind of funny. There is explosive playability here, and some downside of holding the ball too long, being too much of a gunslinger. All right, 16 through 20, Mykel Williams out of Georgia. The ankle injury was a real issue. If you can trust there's better pass rush stuff, he's worth around 1 pick. Otherwise, it gets dicey. But the traits are there. Josh Simmons was, I think, the best tackle this year in college football, but he only played like the first month and change of the season before he got a knee injury. That stuff's got to be vetted. Tyler Booker isn't going to be like a household name. He's a guard, but he's mean, powerful player that in kind of a divisive class just feels like a safe starter day one. Derrick Harmon out of Oregon. The DT rankings are going to be divisive too here. I thought he had a great year for Oregon, though, transferring over from Michigan State. I am a big fan of Luther Burden. He wasn't nearly as good as he was back in 2023, but the entire Missouri offense had some issues there. I think quarterback play was a big factor in all of that, by the way. But as a yak creator, that is the type of guy that I think has a lot of value in the modern-day NFL. Today's show is made possible by Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics is the maker of the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. The pre-alcohol is what that is. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It is this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. The Z-Biotics pre-alcohol produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Remember to drink it before drinking alcohol, drink responsibly, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best the next day. I am on the wrong side of 30 now. I can't hang the way I used to. I am a big fan of the help that is provided by Z-Biotics to help me not feel bad the next day. So go to zbiotics.com/chatsports or use and scan the QR code on screen right now to get 15% off your order. You can also use code ChatSports checkout to get that 15% off and get a subscription using the code to get your brand no matter the time or the occasion. They're backed by 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money. No questions asked. Head to zbiotics.com/chatsports and use code ChatSports at checkout for 15% off your order. A big thank you to Z-Biotics for sponsoring this episode and our good times. All right, other players here. James Pearce out of Tennessee. I don't really trust him as an edge rusher, but he is able to convert speed to power. Or I don't trust him as a run stopper, But he is a really great edge rusher who I like a lot. I think top 20 is where he'll be for me. Kelvin Banks, this is like the flavor of ice cream stuff for offensive linemen. Do you want a powerful run blocker, or do you want a really good pass protector? He's got great pass protection ability. The run blocking is not always there. Jihaad Campbell, he had a great year for Alabama. I've seen some buzz of people thinking he could be an edge rusher, and he has the juice for it, but I think he's just an off-ball linebacker is where he's at his best. Emeka Egbuka, I love the Robert Woods comp. He seems very primed to be just a really, really good wide receiver, too, for a very long time. Another quarterback finally off the board, or I should say on the board here. Shedeur Sanders, number 25 out of Colorado. He's going to be a little bit divisive. If you want the playmaker, that's Cam Ward. If you want the guy to execute an offense, that's Shedeur Sanders. I think there will be question marks about the leadership stuff for all QBs, but especially for Shedeur, given the oftentimes overwhelming presence of his dad. So pick a QB. SS for Shedeur Sanders or CW for Cam Ward. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Got a lot more names, so we'll pick up the pace a little bit here, so it's not a 45, 20-minute video. Kenneth Grant is going to test off the charts good at the Combine. He is a freaky athlete. I'm curious how Matthew Golden tests, but I think he's a very quality receiver who really kind of picked up his stuff down the stretch for Texas. Nickamon Warrior, another freak. He's listed at 6'3", 225, and he's gonna test so well. And I think that also shows up on film. He had a bunch of pick sixes this year. The size, speed, production is a really good combination there. Walter Nolan, former 5-star recruit, part of a good DT class. Donovan Ezeraku, the edge rusher from Boston College, has very good bend, by the way, going off. I think better bend than James Pearce, too, here. At 6'2", 248, it might not be a run stopper, but he's got that pass rush juice that teams covet. Excuse me. 31, Josh Connerly out of Oregon. I think he can be a developmental left tackle, but he's got really great traits and I think potential impact. Medical matters for Siobhan Ravel out of ECU, torn ACL in September. I think does have a chance to go round 1 because of the size and the traits that exist there. 2 OSU players, Tyler Williams, who is just a great run defender. I think needs more pass rush juice. And I will make note, Dane put Donovan Jackson at offensive tackle. I think that's a smart decision. He was really good at left tackle outside of his first start against the Abdul Carter. He barely got beat. And that makes me wonder if he is a tackle and not a guard at the NFL level. Caleb Johnson, and we'll go right to O'Marion Hampton here as well, 35-36. Powerful backs with some good juice as well. It's a great class here, man. Mason Taylor and Elijah Arroyo, 2 more tight ends in part of a strong class. Taylor is a bit more of like the reliable one. I think Arroyo offers a bit more athletic juice, 37-39. Gray Zabel out of North Dakota State, played college left tackle, might be an interior lineman, if not a center, like Dane's got him in the NFL. Then one of my favorite players, again, it's a divisive class. Jahdae Barron I think he's awesome. He is always around the football. I think he has a great high football IQ. I don't think he doesn't have great length. I question some of the deep speed. I get vibes of like early Lions rookie year Brian Branch. He just like dominated from the nickel. Barron's played safety nickel and outside corner at Texas. I have a first round grade on him. I think he's going to be a stud as long as you just like let him use his high football IQ. So who is your favorite player in the 2025 NFL Draft? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Just a few more players left here. JT Tuimoloau out of Ohio State and Jack Sawyer, 41-44. Guys, it'll be probably day 2 picks at edge and being impactful pieces there. Azareye'h Thomas out of Florida State. If you're long and you're athletic and you can make plays on the ball, you normally go pretty early. And no one watched FSU because they were terrible this year. He had a very good season. Carson Schwessinger out of UCLA has a chance to be maybe the first linebacker. I wouldn't count. Then I end up counting the role for Jihaad Campbell. Landon Jackson. Look, if you go in thinking you're going to get a base-setting edge who can push the pocket and be a good run stopper, you'll be happy. If you want like an athletic, dippy, bendy edge, you're just going to be disappointed. I am a big fan of Xavier Watts' game at Notre Dame. He's 47. Alfred Collins, another great run-stopping defensive tackle from Texas. Jaden Higgins, after a big gap in the wide receiver rankings here, Higgins checks in at number 48 on Dane's big board. That one felt very noteworthy to me. He's like 6'4", 217, good size and good body control. It's always a good combination. You can tell he kind of played a lot of basketball growing up, right? He's got that frame and that athletic ability. Trayvon Henderson, the running back from Ohio State. I love his juice. Happy to see him in the top 50. Ariante Ursery out of Minnesota. I do wonder if he's maybe a guard, but he's certainly built like a tackle at 6'6", 339. Also held up better than expected against Abdul Carter. Who do you think Dane Brugler left off of his top 50 big board? We'll get to some names here in a second, but let me know in the comments section of today's show. Some names I want to mention here. Nick Scorton has really kind of fallen. A guy that I thought was going to be a top 15 pick. He didn't have the year I thought he was going to have, and I was very disappointed by that. Benjamin Morrison has medical concerns. 2 hip surgeries now, apparently. That's a red flag. And then there's multiple QBs in the top 85. And I honestly just don't like this class as much. It might be some quarterback value boosting here. Jackson Dart at 57. Tyler Shook at 59. Which is noteworthy because he's 25 on draft weekend, but had like one good year. And there also is medical concerns you got to figure out there. Jalen Milroe is a freaky athlete, but he needs like 2 years to sit and learn, I think. Will Howard, I think, could be a really good backup QB, and if you give him a chance to start, he could actually like make it worthwhile there. I think it's functional enough in a lot of his areas. Cam Williams is a gifted offensive tackle, but he needs a year, if not 2, to like develop his technique. It was pretty rough. Also, there are apparently some medical concerns that exist for Cam Williams here too. Deion Walker is what I call a scare-rousing prospect. He's 6'7", 340, and he moves like he weighs like 280. It's insane. It doesn't make any sense to me. But he plays too tall, and the technique has to get figured out. Harold Fannin is down there at 82, despite a very productive year for Bowling Green. And then LK Monroe, I am a personal big fan of out of Stanford as well.